I'm not the disc golf guy, but stay tuned for the Disc Golf Guys USDGC coverage.
'2009 World Champion Avery Jenkins. Yep.
Thank you.
Representing California, three-time and current world champion, McBeth. Representing California, Gregg Barsby. Representing Washington, Waugh.
West Coast card.
You know it is.
Paul McBeth starting his USDGC off right with a tap-in birdie here on hole number 1. Waugh from Washington is going to have this putt for his par 3. Avery Jenkins will have a very short 6 to 8 foot tap in. And Avery starts off with a birdie, and Gregg Barsby from 6 feet will be doing the same. Easy hole number 1, USDGC. After the birdie on hole number 1, we have Avery Jenkins, 629 feet. And Avery throws a nearly perfect shot right up the middle. Paul McBeth goes with a roller, which curls up nicely and finishes in the center of the fairway, right where you want to be. Gregg Barsby also has a very nice looking roller, which is curling up and to the right. Waugh, 4th to tee. And Chris goes with an air shot, which turns over short and low left. And Avery going high, and unfortunately looks to be a little left. I believe that's going to carry OB on the left. Barsby throwing a Proline Eagle forehand. He's going to have a putt for birdie 3. And McBeth is not happy with his shot. It's going to be short and on the left-hand side. We'll have to see that's inbounds or not. Chris hops up and over the OB. He'll have a putt for par 4. And Paul McBeth has just made from more than 60 feet for his par 4. That may be even further than 60 feet. He went OB on his second shot, and that will save the par 4 here on hole number 2. And after going OB on his second shot, Avery does not convert on his par save. Next to throw, looking for his par 4, is Chris Waugh. And just like that, Chris makes good and will take a par. And Barsby is short on the left-hand side. However, he is in for the birdie 3. Birdie by Barsby, pars by McBeth and Chris Waugh, and bogey 5 by Avery Jenkins. Let's move over to hole number 3. And after starting birdie, we have Gregg Barsby coming up just a bit short and right here on hole number 3, measuring in at 389 feet. And McBeth is going to have less than 20 feet for his birdie 2 opportunity. Chris Waugh's shot is off to the right, however it stays on the edge of the fairway. And Avery's looking for that to nestle up next to the basket. Could have used a little more skip on the wet grass, but he'll have that for the birdie 2. And Chris's forehand shot is on the left-hand side. Avery from 31 feet is wide right.
Too high.
He knew his last attempt was a little high. This will be Chris from 25 feet. And Chris recovers and takes the par 3 here on hole number 3. Chris has pars on holes 1, 2, and 3. If Barsby can convert here, he will move to 3 under after 3 holes. And he's done just that. Barsby tells me he had thrown a champion Banshee forehand off the tee. We then had a little joking about how not so common champion Banshees are, but clearly effective. This is Avery Jenkins for his par 3. And last to putt here, going for his birdie 2, is Paul McBeth, which gives us birdies by McBeth and Barsby, pars by Avery and Chris. We're going to move over to hole number 4.
Oh yeah, double espresso, clip shots.
Avery Jenkins approved. Gregg Barsby going with a forehand off the tee here on hole number 4. Hole 4 measuring in at 448 feet. And McBeth is low and right. Chris Waugh goes straight up the middle. It's going to be on the right in the center where you'd like to be. And Avery's shot is just a bit high. It carries to the right. He's hoping it continues on. There's your tee on hole number 4. And Chris goes with a forehand, making sure he's left of the mandatory tree. McBeth going with a cut roller. And it is carrying around nicely.
Wow.
And maybe just a bit tight. However, he may have a look at the possible birdie 3. And Avery looking to do the exact same shot that McBeth just did. And it is carrying out and to the right. He may have a look. He thinks he might be wide. We'll find out. And Barsby with a beautiful forehand gets out around that front edge. Chris with a nice looking forehand. He needs it to sit down. Oh, and Avery's birdie is in and out from 39 feet. He thought that he had it, however it found a way to pop itself back out. We see Gregg Barsby is just within 8 feet of the pin. He's going to be looking at an easy birdie 3. And we'll be back with you in a moment here as Chris has found himself buried about 40 feet past the pin on the left-hand side. Chris has a nice skip shot. However, it carries deeper than he was probably looking for, as it's gone at least 20 feet past the pin. And McBeth's a punt from just outside the circle is just low. Chris is in for bogey 5. Barsby has the easy tap in for birdie 3, making him 4 down after 4 holes. McBeth and Avery both tap in for their par 4s. We're through 4 holes. Gregg Barsby's now going to get his photo taken for taking the birdie. Rock loud and clear. Tell everyone at home what in the world's going on here.
Number of birdies so far. You can tell that the pro group is out here because we've had a number of birdies so far, Gregg being the most recent one. And it's a beautiful day. Come out here spotting the number 4 where it skips off of this where we are right here earlier in the day, full of dew. This skips up, spinning of course, throwing water off. It was like a circular rooster tail.
Thanks for all the hard work, buddy.
That's why they pay us the big bucks, thank you.
We're here on the 1,083 foot hole number 5, and as many of you seen on social media or otherwise, there is a new tee here this year. This enormous dock tee. Paul McBeth throwing his yellow Star Destroyer here off the tee. We're going to catch up with Paul and his caddy to talk about what he's been throwing on the first few holes. Next to tee, Avery Jenkins. Avery with a low laser-like shot. Should set himself up very nicely for his second shot. Chris Waugh on the tee. And Chris also safe and inbounds. 1,083 feet, let's get to it. And Chris had gone with a Destroyer off the tee, and his second shot is also Destroyer. Must like the color purple, both of them were. And Avery going with a forehand shot. It has caught the right hand side of the tree on the left. And Barsby going with a nice high hyzer shot. One of the advantages of being closer to the water here on this left hand side is you have more of a hyzer shot for your second shot. We just saw with Avery a moment ago. He threw as far as these gentlemen, however he was on the right hand side or center fairway, and he threw a forehand to pull away from the water. McBeth's going to be able to attack this with a hyzer as well. And McBeth going low and finishing with a hyzer to get closer to the water. Just a simple throw over from there. And Avery Jenkins is going straight out, looking to play out and around with the position that he was in. And Chris going straight over the pond here. And a very nice shot to get to that green. He's going to have a long putt for birdie 4. McBeth going with a Proto Star Stamp Champion Thunderbird. And he's on the left side of the pin. And Gregg Barsby puts his forehand onto the green after skipping it off of the water. And Avery is left with an approach shot here to the green. He should have that for his par 5. We have Gregg Barsby here. Gregg has played almost flawlessly here through the first 4 holes. He has in fact birdied all 4 of them. A moment ago we saw him throwing his forehand out over the lake, skipping off the short side of the lake and up and inbounds. That's going to leave him an opportunity here still to card a birdie 4. Gregg Barsby starting out hot, looking to go 5 for 5. And Barsby's putt is to the right hand side, and a 1,083 footer. Barsby's going to have to settle for a par 5. And Chris's birdie attempt is off the right-hand side of the chains. And Avery makes good on his par 5. One of the unique features that we see this week is in fact a white 33-foot circle, otherwise known as the 10-meter circle. That has never been done here before at the USDGC. And catching right-hand side and in is Paul McBeth. He's going to take the tee with the birdie 4. The rest of the gentlemen should tap in here. Again, this is Barsby for his first par of the round. That is the beautiful, memorable signature hole number 5, 1,083 feet from the brand new dock. And McBeth goes with the hyzer out around the right-hand side of the trees and rolling toward the pin. He's going to be left with a putt from just up above the basket. Gregg Barsby going with a much lower approach. He's looking for a little bit of skip to the left. And he gets just that. There is a OB line, which looks as if it's a fake pond on the far right side up there. And Avery going just inside the first tree, but around the subsequent trees. And he has found himself out and to the right. Fourth to tee, Chris Waugh. And Chris with a very nice looking shot heading toward the pin. 80s near Avery from nearly 50 feet is just off the front of the basket here on the, again, very memorable.
What's a PD2, Terry? What's a PD2?
PD2, Avery tells us. We are here on the very memorable green, which isn't really a green at all. It's in fact a beach here on hole number 6. And McBeth converts off of his Thunderbird drive. Makes good on the birdie 2. Chris is going to have a look at a birdie as well. And Chris's birdie attempt is just a bit high off the top of the basket. As you can see, he was on the grass, which is in fact a few feet above the basket in this case. Barsby's looking to take his 5th birdie in 6 holes. And Barsby's hyzer putt is in. We will see birdie 2s from Barsby and McBeth, par 3s from Avery Jenkins and Chris Waugh. Very nice looking drives here, couple converts, and there you have it. Hole number 6 at the beach. We have moved over to the bamboo hole here on number 7. Paul McBeth going right up the gut, and finishing just 4 feet short of the pin. He'll have an easy tap in birdie 2. Also carding the birdie 2 on hole number 6 was Gregg Barsby. Barsby sitting 5 under par after 6 holes. He's going with a forehand, and unfortunately has turned it over, and he has propped himself up against the bamboo structure. There is a mandatory that the players must navigate through the triple beams here, the beam on the left and right, and then below. Avery is going to need that to turn over, otherwise he may miss the mando entirely. And he struggled with that in practice a few days ago, and he will go to a drop zone with a 1-stroke penalty. If you cross the bamboo on either the left or right hand side without going through this gap, it is considered a penalty stroke. And Chris Waugh receives a very good kick off the wall. He's going to have a look at a long birdie from more than 40 feet. Once a player has missed the mandatory, they have the option to go to either the left or right hand side to throw their approach shots. There are markings on the grounds. That's exactly where Avery had just approached from. And next to putt in a moment will be Chris Waugh. Chris Waugh has a long birdie attempt and makes good. Chris will be picking up 2 strokes on Avery, and looking to gain one possibly on Barsby if he can't convert. Barsby's going to have a very difficult straddle out to his right hand side. Looks like he should have enough room there. However, he's contemplating exactly where he needs to mark his lie. A very unique rule here. The players are playing to the mandatory. That is in fact the line. So you will see Barsby with a unique stance because he is not setting up perpendicular to the basket. He in fact has to set up perpendicular to the mandatory line, which is through the gap. It's a very unique situation here on hole number 7. Looks like Barsby's going to have to go out and around with a forehand. And just off the front of the basket, he nearly converts. Avery's going to be looking to convert for his bogey 4. McBeth looking for the birdie 2. He'll tap in, even though he's out. He is not out per se, however, gets the approval. Avery puts in, and again, Gregg will put in as well. Paul McBeth going with a forehand destroyer off the tee. This coming in today at the shorter original tee, measuring in at 592 feet. Chris Waugh will be second to tee. And nice. Chris Waugh with a beautiful shot on the right hand side, hugging the rope on the right. And it is in fact green flag, which means inbounds. Barsby also going with a forehand off the tee. I believe Avery Jenkins is going for his PD2. Looks like he's also setting up for a forehand on the left-hand side. Avery's is carrying to the right, and that's going to be near the out of bounds. However, oh, he's asking for a second call. We're going to get up there. Actually, we'll wait right here and find out the anticipation. This is what makes this the USDGC. We'll see if we can get an official ruling, and neither of them want to make a call. We've got some drama ahead. Let's hunt it down. And here we are, Avery Jenkins and Paul McBeth are going to have to take a look at this. They are trying to determine if it is or is not safe.
I think that leaf just makes it look out.
Technically, there's no piece of the disc that's on this side.
I think it's just that leaf makes it look out.
How long head?
Question.
Okay.
I think it's safe.
Alright. Well,
Bet
if the
you
world
could
champ
move
says
the
it's
leaf,
safe,
the
then it's
string
safe.
might go over that way.
I just think it's that leaf makes it look
You know, I'm just trying to look at it from the top.
Totally. So if you're questioning at any time, obviously.
That's called safe. Give Avery the world champ.
And there you have it. It has been determined safe by the group.
For sure.
And Avery using the exact same disc, going with another forehand shot. It's going to put himself up there to look at a birdie 3. And Chris's shot is hugging the left-hand side, and he's getting a green flag. Over here on the left-hand side of the fairway, Gregg Barsby's got a forehand. Looks like he's going and throws a beautiful shot. It's within a few feet of the pin. And McBeth catches a leaf on the left, high left side. Looks like it slowed him down and did make it hyzer. However, he'll still have a putt for birdie 3. Jenkins has 40 feet and is wide left. And Chris Waugh makes good on the birdie 3. And Paul McBeth was trying to get his footing just right. It was somewhat of an awkward stance for him, so that certainly played a part in the rare inside the circle miss by McBeth there. This is Avery Jenkins for par 4. And Jenkins makes good. Avery and McBeth will card par 4s here on hole number 8. Both Barsby and Chris Waugh with birdie 3s. We are almost halfway through our round. You're watching the 2014 USDGC. And Chris Waugh does what most will be doing here this entire week, which is lays up to the right-hand side. Looks like he threw likely some form of mid-range just to do that. Barsby with a forehand eagle, just looking for that to carry to the right, and that's just about perfect placement for here on this hole if you're laying up off the tee. And McBeth doing exactly as he said he was looking to do in practice earlier in the week. Attack this hole the same way he has the previous few years, even though the hole layout is slightly different. Hole 9 measures in at 575 feet with an island green. Avery's going to need for that to sit down, and unfortunately he has pulled up early on that, and he is OB on the left-hand side. And Chris Waugh is attacking the green, and we're going to get an official call here by the spotter, and unfortunately it's a red flag, meaning he's out of bounds. And McBeth attacking the green and coming up just a few feet to the right. His caddy tells me that was a Thunderbird. Champion Thunderbird. And after going OB off the tee, Avery Jenkins moves over here to the drop zone. And he is wide right. He's going to have a little bit of a tester putt, he says. And Chris, after throwing OB, has the option of throwing from where he previously was or from the drop zone, and looks to be a perfect shot right next to the pin. Gregg Barsby going with a high, wide hyzer, just looking for that to finish. And unfortunately doesn't get much of a skip, so he's going to be left with a similar putt to Avery. However, he will be putting for birdie 3. Gregg Barsby letting Avery know that he had a much nicer shot here. Avery agrees. And Avery makes good for the penalty 4, which is also considered a par out here. Barsby asking Avery if he even lifts. So I think he's questioning his skill level and some of his top-notch physique. This is Barsby for birdie 3. And right hand chain and in. Barsby continues on his roll. I believe he is now 7 down after 9 holes. McBeth taps in for another easy birdie. We are heading to the back 9. We'll give you an official scoring update as it's going on here, and we'll see if we can catch up with some of the action from caddies and beyond. I'm the Disc Golf Guy. That's the front 9 of the 2014 USDGC opening round.
What's up? This is Barsby. You just watched the front 9 of the USDGC 2014, and now we're headed to the back 9.